Hello everyone, I'm Santiago, and today I'm gonna be testing PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds 1.0 or Pubg 1.0 on the Geforce GTX 750 Ti. For FPS monitoring, this time I won't be using cam since it's not currently working with this game due to BattleEye, which is the anti-cheat software this game uses, so in the meantime I'll be using MSI Afterburner. And if you want to support me, there are Humble and Amazon affiliate links down in the description. So PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds 1.0 or Pubg 1.0, I'll be doing 1080p, 900p and 720p. To skip none of those sections of the video, check the description below. So first I'll show you 1080p with the overclocked GTX 750 Ti. I manually overclocked the GPU. I added 200 MHz to the core and 400 MHz to the VRAM. You can find a link to a tutorial on how to do so down in the description. But then on 900p and 720p, I disabled the manual overclock completely, since I know not everyone will want to overclock their GPUs. But on 1080p, I first show you a 60 frames per second configuration or close to that. It usually doesn't hit 60 FPS constant, but it should be over 50 frames per second most of the time. I kept everything on very low, excepting textures and view distance, which I kept only on low. Textures will be on low across the whole video because if I go over low, I put medium for example, I get over the 2GB of VRAM limit, so there will be a lot of stutter here and there, which will make the game unplayable, or you'll just have a big disadvantage in the game. And well, after that I show you a 30 FPS configuration. That means that I will crank up the settings trying to stay over the 30 frames per second, so I prioritize quality over performance this time around. And well, on 900p and 720p I'll do the exact same thing. I just show you a 60-ish FPS configuration and then an over 30 frames per second configuration, prioritizing quality, and that should be pretty much the video itself. On 720p you can crank up textures to medium if you want. The VRAM should be enough there, but it can vary, so I recommend you just experiment with the texture quality option. If you have a lot of stutter, you know what the problem is, just lower textures. And on 720p, on the 30 FPS configuration, I just lower shadows from ultra to high, and that was enough to be over the 30 frames per second all the time. If you put everything on ultra except in textures, the game will just be below 30 frames per second most of the time. But now I'm going to talk to you about the options menu, some other CPUs I tested before, and what's new about Pubg 1.0 compared to the previous versions. The most demanding thing so far, like on the previous videos, is shadows. From ultra to high there's a huge performance difference. From high to medium there's also a difference, but it isn't as big of a difference compared to what you get from lowering from ultra to high, so keep that in mind. Now they look pretty similar, so I recommend lowering shadows first. Foliage and view distance weren't much of a hit, but if you want to get a small performance uplift, lower foliage. Post-processing and effects used to have a huge performance hit. Now post-processing seems to make the bigger difference. It seems to affect ambient occlusion as well, and I used to put effects on very low, since when you were in a red zone just surrounded by explosions, just being close by was a huge performance hit. Now it seems that they fixed that, so effects can be on medium or high just fine if you had it on very low in the past. But yeah, not much else to say about it. The game also seems to use a little less VRAM. So for textures, I would set high for 3 or 4 GB GPUs. For 2 GB GPUs, maybe low or medium. And for more than 4 GB of VRAM, use ultra. That should be fine. Unfortunately, I couldn't test the old map as much as this one, so I just tested this new map in this video. That's because it randomly selects the map. I cannot select it by myself, and the new map has a higher chance of just showing up randomly. That's because the developers just put that into the matchmaking, so you have a higher chance of getting into the new map. But I claim that they will soon add a map selector. When that happens, I'll probably make comparisons between the two maps, but it seems that the new map runs a little better. And well, overall I saw that the Ryzen 3 1200 was very similar in performance to the G4560. I saw very similar frame times when you're just scavenging for stuff or in the middle of a village or just running around. The parts when I mostly saw a difference was when there were other players just close to you, or you're just being shot or shooting someone. I saw more drops in the G4560 than on Ryzen 3. Ryzen 3 is instead a little more stable when you are in a battle or something. That was the biggest difference I saw between those CPUs. Overall, the performance is very similar on both of them. so you should have a good experience with any of those two CPUs. So yeah, it seems that they fixed the performance issues in the red zone or close to the red zone. The stutters that I had on the plane in the past are long gone. The lobby isn't as bad as it used to be. So yeah, overall it seems that it's running better than before. That's why I used a little higher settings compared with my previous videos on Pubg. But also remember that this map, it seems to be running a little better than the previous one. But I'll test that soon when they add the map selector. Anyway guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you keep enjoying the video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.